Hello, YouTube. Today we're doing first impressions of RuneScape 3. I have played RuneScape before, but it's like well over 10 years since I played it the last time. If you're hearing like a tiny bit of noise coming through or whatever when I'm talking, it's because my husband's gonna be playing with me today, and I will be mostly cutting this video to just like the pivotal points of when like something that I can comment on happens. Guys, I was initially going to use sound from my stream and my recording footage and everything, but it ended up being a 10-hour stream. Plus, I am testing a new method of removing noise and removing anything that might be happening in my background, so I thought I will narrate over it while still using footage from my stream, except for very few specific moments. Now, I had heard other people making videos about RuneScape and saying that it's a very bad game because it's very grindy and it takes a very long time to raise all the skills. So first of all, I feel like I have to address that point by saying that, to me, RuneScape was always about the skilling, right? To me, there was no endgame, that was the game. So I had very favorable impressions compared to those people because that is what I expect to do. I expect to go back home and do the same activity for maybe 100 hours even, while on stream, because now I'm streaming this constantly. I'm actually about 18 hours in. This is the first game where I'm doing a first impressions video on, where I actually played it for 18 hours. But it still counts as first impressions because I'm still very early game with that game, because yes, RuneScape is very grindy, and yes, RuneScape takes a very long time to get all of your skills to maximum. Like, we're talking, the person that was complaining said that agility takes like 100 hours alone, and that hunting takes a very long time, and so on and so forth. Yes, we're talking thousands of hours to max out every skill, and then there's bosses, and you can go and kill, there's raids, there's dungeons, and there's a lot of content. But to me, doing the skills is like what RuneScape was always about. I didn't know what was at the end when you got all the skills to 99 because I never got there. To me, that was the game, and that was the point of the RuneScape game. It didn't have like a point of, yeah, I'm just gonna do the skills in order to go to endgame and to do raids. For me, that was never a thing. If for you that is a thing, then maybe RuneScape isn't for you. For me, I am looking at it as a skill grinder. Now that we're done with that, controls. WASD moves the camera. It's click to anything else, from walking to fighting. You can right-click on things to select from a list of options, or left-click for the default option. You can click on the minimap to move. The part took me way too long to figure out, and I was accidentally attacking things while trying to move. My scroll wheel didn't work very well when it came to selecting how zoomed out I want to be. That seemed to be not an issue for my husband though, so that could be my personal issue, but for me the zooming in and out thing was quite a difficult thing. UI. Oh my god, do you feel overwhelmed as new player? 18 hours in, I still have UI elements that I have literally no idea what they do. Interestingly enough, their store is probably the worst thing for me to navigate. Like, I have no idea how to buy shit. I have very poor idea on how to claim things out of chests. Like, you get keys. I don't know, can you buy keys, but you get keys and you open chests out of a UI element. Everything is very in-depth. Every skill has a lot of depth to it, a lot of things that you need to learn. RuneScape has a very steep learning curve, if you ask me, but here's the nice bit. You don't actually have to know everything. It is fine that I don't know how to use half of the UI, because half of the UI is not something that I need to use. The other half ends up being a bit clunky. I feel like they should rework it, though. Like, they should make everything easier to find, access, and to pin to your screen, because one of the things that's new and that helps new players is this thing that's called Activity Tracker. It essentially points an arrow towards your next achievement or your next quest or whatever you can do in the area. Well, the Activity Tracker keeps on like switching off for me, and then I have to navigate through the menus to figure out where it is and to drag it back on screen, and then my paths are also all messed up, so oftentimes I end up not using it just because it ends up being quite hard to use, which is sad because it actually felt like it's a good tool. Now, one thing that my husband said about the UI is that this is the first MMO that he's seeing where the UI is like completely customizable. You can have any window anywhere and you can switch off as many windows as you want. So if you want to go into like big in-depth UI customization, you can do that. But at the same time, you just feel very much overwhelmed as a new player, specifically coming to that part. Overall look and feel. RuneScape is now far better looking than it was in RuneScape 2 and 1 times. It might not impress the younglings, but if you've been here before, it definitely looks impressive now. My husband made comments that the water even looks better than some big MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV's water, just because of all of the effects that they use on it. So despite the fact that you're playing a potato game, it has like, well, nice looking water with like reflections and everything, and you're like, ooh. And it definitely looks so much better and so much different that in fact the only time you realize where you are is when you recognize something specific. Like, I recognized this little point where you climb over the wall, and I was like, oh, so I'm at that cow enclosure. Because it just doesn't look like the same game. It's a very weird mix of very nostalgic, because everything technically is still in the same places, right? But at the same time, you end up not recognizing your environment because it's just such a weird, different look. It's as if somebody released a new version of an RPG that you're playing, and it's the exact same stuff, but everything looks different. Like, it would really mess with your mind, and it's messing with mine, but I think it's making my mind like the game more, because it goes, oh, I recognize this, and I recognize that, and I recognize where I am. Quests. Quests in RuneScape make you think, and that is a good thing. There's a few straightforward ones, but I'm often deep inside a puzzle of sorts trying to figure out what to do and where to go. There's a ton of them. There's like 270 of them. I did maybe, 20? It feels more RPG than majority of other MMOs that I played, honestly. At the very end of my 10-hour stream, my brain cells were like completely gone. And I was trying to do this quest of uncovering the history of like the old Mage's Tower. And it was giving me puzzles of like, you know, here is 8, 10 or whatever, how many runes it gave me. And here's a circle, and you have to figure out where to place what in order to make a cutscene play. And you have to do it in the exact right order. And my brain just really couldn't handle it. I tried my best, but brain bad. Brain really bad. A lot of quests are now voice acted, which was very pleasant. And with cutscenes, which was also very pleasant. Some cutscenes don't look like they were meant to be filmed at the camera angles that they were filmed, such as if you go behind your character in a building, there's obviously no roof, because normally RuneScape is from a slightly isometric perspective, like not entirely top-down, but like not entirely third person, so you normally never see roofs. So yes, when the camera pans down for a cutscene, there's no roof, because why would there be? So that's a bit weird to see, because you would imagine there to be a roof, but there isn't one. Let's say, what else? Some quests they never did voice acting for, and that's a shame. Because honestly, the quests that got redone to have the full voice acting and cutscenes are a lot better and more enjoyable experiences, if you ask me. Community. Now, bear in mind that I'm a Twitch streamer, but outside of a few trolls that yesterday were asking how I feel about dung pretty much for like 2 hours until they swore at me and went away, I've got an incredible amount of support. There were 2 people that outright gave me money in-game, and one that gave me and my husband some premium subscription, as you can do these days, because you can either buy subscription, or you can buy a bond to sell in-game for in-game money, and that bond, like, is 14 days of subscription. So essentially you can trade your friend's subscription this way if you want to. And this is the first time that has happened to me in the history of MMOs ever. My husband also made some friends while smithing. I've heard of people making friends on the Grand Exchange. Like, it's almost like the population of RuneScape aged, and as they aged, they became very welcoming and accepting. I don't think that you're gonna find this somewhere else, because if you would go to EverQuest 1, it wouldn't have that kind of population. So it might actually be harder to find friendly people because it would be harder to find people. RuneScape 3 currently boasts about 200,000 concurrent users, so it's not a small game, and the kind of people that you run into, like some servers are extra quiet. So some servers will be extra quiet, but then servers will be chatty and people will in general be nice. And if you're new, they will actually want to make the effort to go out and help you. And that was such a weird experience. I am gonna put down some clips in here right now, so bear with me. And stuff. Oh my god, you sure? Jesus Christ, man, thanks.
Thanks.
That's
all I heard.
I got 1 million coins. From a dude on my stream.
You know you're wasting your money, right?
Yeah, but thank you. I'll use them well when I figure out what money does, which is eventually. I'll eventually figure out what money does, just you watch. Okay, Magic Combat. Let's continue the very, very long tutorial, which is good, because I don't remember anything about this game ever since 2007. Magic Combat uses spells. Elemental Combat spells damage your enemies, but your spellbook also contains utility spells. Wait, Narba, you around here to call me a dumb bitch? I mean, you can't do stream chat, but like, you can't. You can't if you're not in the same instance as me. Spellbook contains utility spells, such as lowering an opponent's combat abilities or teleporting around the world. Okay. So, elemental combat and spellbook. Got it.
Okay, the last one now, it's to Lumbridge. There we go.
Oh,
What?
I'm given more stuff, which is amazing. Ooh, you gave me subscription. Thanks, mate.
Mate. Thanks, mate. Thanks, bruv.
Where are you right now?
I'm running around.
Taverley Bottom Bank, can you get here? PC requirements. Will likely run on a potato. Probably one of the least demanding MMOs out there. You can probably run it. I don't know what you have, but you can probably run it. Overall, don't be fooled. RuneScape is still RuneScape, meaning the game still heavily centers about grinding skills one at a time for hours and hours at a time. But that does have its own kind of pull for me. This is the MMO with the most in-depth non-combat skill system. That being said, I didn't expect to find as mature and enthusiastic community eager to support anyone new, coupled with strong nostalgia, while still having a lot of impressive new things. RuneScape is also nowhere near dying. Last time I checked, their website said 200,000 people online, and such numbers would easily look impressive on any gaming platform. This isn't anywhere near the numbers that RuneScape was pulling at its height, like 10 years ago. But that's not dead. That's not shutdown levels. God's sakes, games go under 1,000 players before they properly shut down. RuneScape's gonna live, and it's gonna live for quite a few more years if you ask me. I think I may have found my home. My personal home. I'm a bit disillusioned with Final Fantasy. My raid group fell apart. Fallout 76 is falling apart on me because of its system requirements. And here is a game with very friendly and welcoming population that I can go and fairly mindlessly play outside of when I go out questing, in which case I have to solve puzzles that are fun and engaging out here. So, yes, I'd be all over that. It makes me regret leaving, honestly. It makes me regret stopping and going to other MMOs and doing something else. But at the same time, I felt like I needed something else at that point in my life, and at this point in my life, I'm like, yeah, you know, game where you click to do stuff, and you click a little bit, and you relax. I'm all for it. I'm all for relaxation. I missed relaxation. I would love some relaxation. So for me, this is home. That doesn't mean that it's flawless. Boy, it's really difficult to figure out. For a young person, it would probably look ugly. I'm speaking like I'm a granny. I'm 25. Well, I'm about to turn 26, but I really shouldn't feel as old as I do. I mean, you can look at it twice. You can be like, oh, it's grindy and it's hard to get to proverbial endgame. It's gonna take you like thousands of hours to get to a point where you're going out and killing raid bosses. Oh, it's old. Oh, it looks bad. You can look at it that way. You can also look at it like, oh, you have to mostly just click on things. It's almost AFK levels, but you can't bot it, really. You can't leave it running overnight like you could with Black Desert Online for your character to do skilling automatically. You have to do it all by hand, but it's at the same time just clicking on things. But at the same time, you have to research websites to figure out what you're doing with a lot of things, because the game has a lot of complexity, but it's not a surface level complexity, it's like deep complexity. You could say all that. You could say that, oh, it's free to play and it has a subscription that's nearly mandatory because otherwise like 90% of the game is not available to you. That there are pretty scummy items on the store, not in the fact that you can really like bypass or boost yourself, more in the fact that pretty much all visual progression that's not just armor sets available in game will be mostly store-bought, like the really cool costumes, titles, animations, and blah blah blah. You could say that, oh, that is bad because that starts off addiction, and you wouldn't be wrong, but at the same time, I feel like for me, this is what I needed. And if at a very weird way you're being attracted to that sort of gameplay, go for it. Just go for it and enjoy it, because for me, this is extremely enjoyable, so I'm looking forward to months of me streaming practically just RuneScape right now. I mean, drop by and see me on Twitch if you would like. But yeah, that's my first impressions. That went a lot better than I thought it would.